your relationships at home can become your greatest energy leak. If you get your home in order, if you close the energy loops, you stop having the same fights, you come to actual resolution, you show up better at work. So I don't know if it's necessarily that the two are so separate and that's the problem, but it's more about, are you actually fixing the issues just like you would in your business? Or are you still continuing to brush things under the rug?
Very
And
interesting.
the executives that struggled the most were still brushing it under the rug.
I can't believe it. We made it.
We did.
Another Melissa. I married a Melissa. Now we have a Melissa. You're the first, I think, no, second Melissa. Obviously, my wife's first one on the show. So welcome. I'm super excited to have you on.
Honored to be here.
Dude, and you're crushing it. Everything from, I mean, your husband and you guys and that whole thing behind the scenes where you started, working on a book, which is awesome, working with executives and CEOs. And if y'all are someone that wants to find your life partner or you want to elevate your relationship and you're looking at the person here, the person that can help you really get to that next level. And it's just amazing how everything aligned with your story before we got on the air here, from the perspective of meeting your partner to getting married and all of that being directly in line and the catalyst to what you're doing to now. I thought for some reason you were doing it even beforehand, and it's not like you were
Unofficially, yes.
unofficially.
I was always the person everybody was coming to with their relationship problems,
Mm,
questions. And even with a lot of the executives I was working with, they were always asking me more things about their personal lives. And they
oh my
felt really
God.
safe to do that, which was such an honor.
Yeah.
And the number of times too, when I was doing business coaching, that people would actually end up crying and sharing the personal things they were going through was such an
Mm,
honor because I always felt that be able to create that safety was my
yeah.
ultimate goal.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, shout out right there because I feel like people are starting to open up to the fact that it's like, let's go deeper. Let's have deeper, more meaningful conversations. Yes, we have maybe a goal, objectives to finish or to do or whatever, but it's like, let's not go there just yet. Like, let's have a conversation. Shout out to Anna, or technically Anna. She was on our show. And we actually had Jonathan on our show as well. And he's like, you have to have her on. And so we're working on our relationship before I get into she does NET, right?
Yes.
Yes, NET, and then plus like also like chiropractic without touching you.
Hmm.
So more spiritual type work. And I'm like, she's actually coming over after our podcast. You
Oh,
might
no
just meet
way.
her.
Oh, I'd love to.
Yeah, she's an amazing spirit and she's up in Sedona. So this whole experience is turned into so many different things. And speaking of experience, y'all gonna have to wait until the end because we have a special surprise. And Melissa was just like, do you feel comfortable doing something with your Melissa? I was like, sure. Why not? Let's see how this works out. So more to come on the end. So let's get into the kind of the beginning. So you come from a tech marketing background. How did you get? What was the catalyst to get into that at the beginning of your career?
So to zoom out or go back in
Yeah.
time, I actually graduated from undergrad at 19 years old.
Wow.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. And it was at the time, it was about 2010.
Hmm.
And what was happening in the industry was that tech was really the only industry doing well at that time.
Makes
And
sense.
at the time, I was also co authoring the first college textbook on social media marketing with my dad.
Ooh,
Thank you. It
congratulations.
was quite the honor and such an incredible learning experience. And that's what I always say that kind of birthed what I do now and my
Yeah.
approach to things. Because what people don't realize is that being a textbook author doesn't mean you're originating the ideas, it means you're an
Mm,
excellent researcher. And so for me, everything I do
interesting.
is based in science and the research behind it. And so I entered the industry with the first college textbook on social media marketing and started working for tech companies immediately because that's who was hiring. And kind of through
Mm,
that process, I ended up working with a lot of the executives to help build their brand on LinkedIn, doing ghostwriting for them, and getting a really intimate understanding of what high performers, executives
mm,
were challenged with, what they were growing through. And that
interesting.
really birthed my interest in the human aspect, the dynamic of that. I mean, even if you think about social media, right?
Hmm.
So it was originally developed for people to connect with people. businesses started playing there. So you had to have that trust building element, that real
Mm.
connection through social. And so I feel like I actually learned more of the people skills
Yeah.
around relationship just simply through the process of marketing and building authentic brands.
Wow, that's so powerful. Can we go a little deeper? I'm curious of what you've seen in the corporate world. So when you think about the executives or CEOs in these organizations, and it's very interesting. A little bit later, we'll get into the whole like the companies entering the space. What did it look like? What were some commonalities? Because you said a lot of them are opening up to you, even on the personal side. So what was some things that you saw?
So I saw almost two different archetypes, if you will.
Okay.
Those that were just thriving, crushing it in their relationships,
Mm,
and are really strong leaders. And those were kind of the model that I wanted to eventually become myself
yeah.
and help people become. But then on the flip side, there was executives who were doing very well at work, but there was almost this constant sense of struggle and strife within their relationships. And they would say, "Oh, I'm just really frustrated again, got into the same recurring argument, had the
Mm,
same struggle." And so what I found was that there was kind of those two different types. And the latter really needed help with how to actually have courageous conversations at home.
ooh.
And it was interesting to see them be able to apply it so effectively at work. But then when it came to being at home, they treated it like the separate entity, which actually birthed a lot of the frameworks that I have now, which is how do you apply the skills that make you successful in your business to your relationship?
That is so powerful. I have to say it's very interesting. The first thing that comes to my mind is when you say that is the HR saying,
Yes.
keep it at the door. Okay. When you walk through the door, you come in personal, that's personal, it's at home. And what I'm seeing now is I'm seeing the blending of the two. Would you say that's a catalyst of me that was a part of the reason, the problem because of that adopted ideology?
I think in part, but I think the reality is it's more about your relationships at home can become your greatest energy leak.
Mm,
And so the way that I see it is if you get your home in order, if you close the energy loops, you stop having the same fights, you come to actual resolution, you show up better at work. So I don't know if it's
mm,
necessarily that the two are so separate and that's the problem, but it's more about are you actually fixing the issues just like you would in your business? Or are you
mm.
still continuing to brush things under the rug?
Very
And
interesting.
the executives that struggled the most were still brushing it under the rug.
Wow. Interesting. I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense because I can imagine like trapped energy in the body could just be that underlined subconsciously behind the scenes coming up for you. And that's where I feel like, for men out there, way more powerful with a woman and one. I've learned that, and also, becoming married and having someone that's going to be your raving fan, as you are with your husband, who's doing the stairmaster for 24 hours.
Yes.
I see all
And
the
any other sorts of challenges that he comes up with that I'm a support crew for.
Yeah, which is awesome. It's amazing, and wow, that's very fascinating. I was curious about that. And so now, when you're getting into the social media world, and you're talking social media in this, or I would say the work side into the social media play,
Mhm.
what does that look like as far as when you're going through? Because it seems like you're at the beginning, like you're part of the beginning process of a business starting to market on social, and I
Yeah.
still see like it's not. I don't want to say, how do I say this? I feel like it's still kind of corporate when you see a lot of the corporations and the larger entities. There's not really so much of a face as it is
Mhm.
like the logo, the brand, the colors. And of course, there's models and what have you that
Mhm.
also is intertwined, but not so much of the executives or the CEO or, the individuals that are behind the scenes doing all of the levers and making things work. So on your side, what did that look like? How did you blend the two?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
And this was back in 2010. Like social media was just becoming
Yeah.
really a way for businesses to begin to market. So at that time, what I was encouraging a lot of the executives, CIOs, CEOs to do was to start building up their personal brands
Mm.
as an extra layer. Because what I was finding was, yes, you can post on social as a company, and some companies do it extremely well. But in tech, it's a little bit hard to really differentiate, to be personable, to connect.
Yeah.
And so, what I was encouraging them to do was to start making posts, sharing a little bit about the business, but also sharing the behind the scenes, their leadership strategy, their focus, the way they approached leadership, as well as a little bit more about them personally. And
Mm.
so, I was working with them to start ghostwriting a lot of their posts on LinkedIn
Mm.
back in 2010, 11, 12. And that ended up being one of the core things I worked on, not only when I was inside companies, which I did for about 6, 7 years. But then I
Yeah.
had my own consulting business for about roughly 7 years in the space and working
Wow.
directly with a lot of different executives on building up their personal brands as a way of communicating not only authentically but representing well. So it's like they couldn't talk about the business all the time,
Yeah.
and so part of it had to be that personal element. What
Hmm.
is their own kind of core content pillars, if you will.
Yeah.
And so in that process, I got to know a lot about them, about the
Wow.
hobbies. So for example, one of the executives, head of a very big security company that does work even with the government,
Yeah.
and his hobby is trimming bonsai trees.
Mm.
And it would get so much engagement to just
Wow.
drop that in a little bit and start to
Yeah.
share the humanness. And I think that that is the biggest thing for anyone connecting on digital now, is recognizing people don't want to just connect to your leadership. They don't want to just connect to your business. They want to connect to who you are.
Amen. Yeah, 100%. It's interesting too, because at that level, talking Fortune 500 companies here, everything has to be, and we've had some guests on our other podcast, Real Estate First Technology, and vice president of like Real Broker and the real estate space, Sharon Avata, and very meticulous about the what you do, how you say it. The title needs to be this. It's very well thought through, which makes also sense on the ghostwriting side
Totally.
personally. But that's cool, and I can imagine like all the conversations you have behind the scenes, but it's also nice, I guess, to filter things too, especially at that level.
Yes,
You have to.
we joked that I was the filter between what they actually thought and what they wanted to put online,
Wow.
and it was just making it a kinder, more palatable. And I still feel like today that's a lot of the work that I do too, is helping people explain things in a way that is kinder
Yeah.
and less from a place of blame and direction. And that, I
Mm,
find, just a few simple word shifts,
okay.
especially with couples, is so profound.
Very, very interesting. It's also very interesting too how the couple thing came about with this. And I have to say that I probably put way too much out personally. Now just analyzing for a quick hot second, but that's for a whole other conversation. Met my wife though off Instagram. True story.
Mhm.
So now we're transitioning. So you're doing the consulting side. How, at what point was the catalyst where you're like, relationships? Was it just an automatic because of the conversations you were having about what was going on after the workplace at home and some of those things that were happening? So you're like, like where did it come up for you?
Those ideas were percolating, I would say, well before I started doing this as a profession. I always knew that I would want to write another. I ended up writing, I believe, 3 textbooks. And I knew that at some point I wanted to do something in the personal development space,
I love it.
but I didn't want to do something that's in a cluttered space and that wasn't from an authentic place of lived experience, not just research.
Yes.
So for me, it really came from once I was in my relationship that moved at pretty much lightning speed. I mean, we got engaged after 2 months, married at a courthouse in less than 6 months.
Wow.
And in our first year of marriage, we raised $1.1 million for his expedition, traveled the world 80% of the year, and still ran 2 businesses.
Wow.
And I thought, okay, this is the pressure cooker version. And now I feel equipped to talk about the things I've actually been researching for closer to a decade.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's one of those things, and no offense to anyone. It's just like a trainer. You're gonna go to the gym and get trained by a trainer, and the trainer's maybe not in the best shape, and you're like, well, would you want to take advice of someone who's doing it and living it, or someone who's preaching it and maybe has the knowledge, but they're not actually being it? So
Embodiment to me is so important. And
yeah,
again, not that there's anything wrong with researching and sharing information,
of
because
course,
I think that people can be messengers for different messages.
agreed.
But for me, the messengers that always felt the most resonance were
Mm,
also having the lived experience. And so for me, it never felt right. Even it was funny, as a single person, I was being asked for relationship advice almost constantly from my friends. And there
wow.
was a part of me that was even thinking, is this appropriate for me to be giving advice? But now, through the lived experience, it feels in such deep alignment. And truly, I believe now I'm in my soul's calling.
That's amazing. Congratulations to you on that.
Thank
And,
you.
I think if you just exude it, right? They talk about like where tension goes, energy flows, and you're already seeing it and living it and being it, and then giving the advice and then seeing that it worked. And so you're like, okay, well, there's something here. And then now you have your relationship where you put it into practical action and you're like, it does work, you know, and it's amazing that individuals came to you to then find out how they can navigate their relationships. Speaking of relationship, I'm sure if you ever watched any of our shows or any podcasts that she's already been on our show, she's been on before. You've probably told us before. It is such a profound story in regards to living in Oregon. I was just there last week. We're talking over making some tea here, and you're telling us a story how you basically go ahead and take it away. I don't even want to say it.
So had been living in Oregon for 12 years. I actually went on over 100 first dates before I met my husband.
Real was this like on just dating sites?
Dating sites, I was set up by friends. I worked with matchmakers,
Wow,
and I was looking for my person. I knew that that was the only category in my life that didn't feel fully fulfilled.
I love that for
And
you.
so it was super determined to find
Yeah.
it. And as part of that practice, I ended up going to a 5-day neurofeedback retreat called
Mm.
40 Years of Zen. And the idea is that you're hooked up to electrodes and you're doing meditation in kind of this sensory deprivation pod, working through in real time trauma, all the old stuff, setting down your baggage. But I went in there with the intention of clearing my anxious attachment
Ooh.
and manifesting my partner.
Wow.
And on the last day, we were doing work in, I don't know if you're familiar with the different types of brainwaves. Is that to
Go
some
ahead. You
degree?
you can get into it.
Absolutely. So the frequency that people tend to have these Kundalini awakenings, these really spiritual experiences, is called gamma waves. And
Got it.
so in real time, we were hearing through headphones, gongs, if our brain was in a certain brainwave frequency.
Okay.
All week we'd been training in alpha, which is the creative state where you have new neural connections.
Mm.
Final day, worked in gamma, and I decided to manifest my future partner, to call in a vision and see what would be revealed. And what was revealed to me was not what he looked like or anything like that, but it was this feeling of travel, excitement, and I saw palm trees.
Interesting.
I left 40 years of Zen. I'd been living in Oregon for 12 years. I broke my lease, gave away all of my belongings that didn't fit in my car, and told all my friends and family who thought I was a little nuts at the time that I had to go to Scottsdale, Arizona because my husband was there. So I drove down and I thought, what's the worst that could happen? I date here for a while and,
Yeah.
there's nothing to lose. I had my business fully in operation. And so I moved here. And the first event I went to was a Wim Hof breathwork and cold bath workshop with Michael Roviello, the owner of Optimize here in
Shout out.
Arizona. And afterwards, we connected. I told him I was looking for a man. And he loved the directness and ultimately introduced me to Akshay, who's my husband, because he was running a hiking group at the time and said, this is a great person to connect with you. He didn't tell me he was setting us up, but he definitely told Akshay.
Wow, that is amazing. Shout out. Michael, he was also on our show as well and certified. He's awesome. Wim Hof instructor, great friend of mine. He like just rolled his car. I'm like, what are you
Oh my
doing,
gosh.
dude? I give him a call and he's just
Yes.
like, long day, tired, whatever. But yeah, we'll talk. I'm like, just go explore. Why not? But yeah, he's a good dude. Done some different
Great human.
like pull training with him with the
Mm-hmm.
Houston, Texas. And actually, I know Michael because of his ex girlfriend Poonam, which
Gotcha.
is my wife's best friend.
Oh, wow.
And then that's
Small
when we
world.
first moved here. Yeah. And then we really connected. And every time I'm around Michael, I just feel like a sense of like love.
Totally.
You know what I'm saying? He's just a good person.
Great human, done so much of his own personal work that's very evident. And I figured even when I connected with him, somebody who is that grounded, that intelligent must spend time with people who are similar. And
Yes.
so I knew that by just sharing that with him, something would come of it.
Yeah.
And it was lightning speed after that. Akshay and I met, we went deep super quickly. And that was the thing that a lot of people didn't totally understand at the time. It said, oh, you're just caught up in this whirlwind romance. But the first time we met was not fireworks. I thought he was
Mm.
just some crazy guy who was about to go to Antarctica and he wasn't looking for a girlfriend. And we ended up spending enough time together, going really deep in conversation and figuring out that we were aligned on all the things that mattered.
Wow.
Core values, all of it. We had all the conversations that people we've been told typically don't have for the first 6 months, maybe even years.
Yeah.
Finances, marriage, kids, life plans.
Yeah.
But we laid it all on the table.
Yeah.
And that's how we were able to move so quickly. It was
Wow.
not from a space of being caught up. I had this vision. I didn't even think it was him when I met him.
Yeah.
And
Did you tell him?
I did. Oh, totally. I told him, I said, you were just some very kind guy who was
Yeah.
throwing a house gathering. I saw you point at a map of Antarctica that you were going to go do an expedition there. And I thought, This doesn't sound available to me. And we continued spending time together. But it was through that depth and through the courage to have the hard conversations early
Yeah.
that we were able to move quickly.
Yeah. I actually 100% relate to you on that because that's exactly
Really?
what happened with Melissa and I.
Oh, do tell.
And we met on Instagram, and technically it was a bot. So she had a bot she was paying for that was liking and connecting and commenting on like-minded people. I thought it was her. I checked her out. I was like, sent her a DM. Then she sent me a DM back. Finally, we were at this time, it was a vegetarian. So we went to Veggie Grill. This is going to be California, Walnut Creek. So we go to Veggie Grill. We go on a couple hikes. I meet her friend. Her sister is a twin of hers. She has a twin sister, and she's a realtor. Go figure. And I own a marketing company. Shameless plug. Shout out Liftoff Agent. Thank you for sponsoring the show and our amazing editors. And so we just like hit it off. She put me in the friend zone. I said, well, you know what? You're busy. I'm busy. What about friends with benefits? And she's like, maybe we could. Yeah, that works.
Love
Sure.
it.
I'm not holding back here. Okay.
I appreciate the
And
honesty.
and so she's like, oh, sure, whatever. And then afterwards, it was just like she never left my side, and we went deep in those conversations. And the cool thing that I loved, and this is maybe a cliff note for guys out there, is I always went younger. And for me, it was like she was like, I want a child, I want to get married, I want this, and this. And she thought I was too short. She thought I was too young. There's an age difference there. And because I said, try me, I like challenges. It's yeah, I got married in 29. I got her pregnant in 4 months, proposed when she was pregnant, got married within the first year, and then moved her out of California. And we've been here for now 5 years in Arizona, got married in 2019.
Congratulations. So
Thank you.
you understand on a different level
I'm on the
again.
same. It's a
Same
different level,
frequency.
but a same frequency, like the same
100%.
type of story. It was just like whoa. And in my life, I don't really have any models. Like
Mm.
my mom, shout out. She's has a boyfriend. They have their own stuff going on, and no one else really in my family really are a model like ours or for us. And so we're kind of like the black sheep in both of our families from starting businesses and doing what we're doing. But it's a blessing, and grateful to have you to experience and everyone who's watching and listening experience this together. And if you have gone through something similar, comment down below.
Please do. Would love to
Yeah.
hear. Would love to hear people's, especially their love stories and the
Yeah.
things they've been through. And what I love about your story in particular
Mm.
is it shows a deep level of clarity
Mm-hmm.
and courage.
Yes.
Because for her to say, these are the things I want, are you in? And for you to say, try me, and to rise to the occasion and
Yes.
have that clarity, that's what it's all about.
It's just it just makes the biggest thing that comes up for me is that sometimes when you're not clear about certain things, it can start to cause questions. And
Yes.
no one really wants questions within situations. And then what happens is when there's questions and you're not clear, then that's when you get comfortable. And if you get comfortable and you never clearly go over the expectations that you want, then it becomes a norm. And once it becomes a
Mm.
norm, then you're asking yourself, why am I not married? Or why this or why that? And I question that sometimes. And I love my mom about things that she's done or whatever the case may be. But that's not my place to judge. That's her life. And I love her for whatever she wants to do.
Absolutely. And with that too, that's why even with working with people now who are high performers and single and looking for their partner,
Hmm.
one of the first activities I take them through is getting crystal clear, not on the visual or aesthetic that they want in their partner, because I think to your point about the height, right? What a limiting
Yes.
factor. And my husband and I are the same height.
Oh,
And a
okay.
lot of people said, oh, don't date anyone 6 feet or below or whatever that weird rule is. And the reality is that when we talk about getting clarity,
Yeah.
what we're discussing is not the physicality. Yes, you need to be attracted to your partner, but
Yeah.
attraction can be built also.
That's true.
And I think that so much of that clarity needs to be around two things. First is your core values in terms of character. What in that person would be really in alignment for you? So
Mm.
loyalty, integrity,
Yes.
drive, especially for high performers.
Yes.
And then the second is lifestyle values. And this is
Mm.
where I think we miss the boat, because that does not mean your partner has to have the same hobbies as you.
Yes.
It means you
Yes.
need to want the same lifestyle. Do you want travel? Do you want kids? Do you want adventure? Because even my husband says to this day that I'm adventurous. I
Mm.
self-describe as an indoor girl. He is
Really?
an outdoor guy to the max. He literally went to Antarctica for 60 days alone.
Wow.
So, but what's true for both of us in the core lifestyle value is adventure
Yep.
and travel.
I love that.
They don't have to be the same though. And I think we
Yes.
get hung up on, because hobbies change over 5 to 10 years. And there's a lot of studies on this that you're probably not going to be doing the same hobby in 5 to 10 years. So if you choose your partner based on hobbies and aesthetics, you are not going to be happy for the long run.
I love that. And shout out to Melissa for 60 days being a true real one, holding down the house, holding down the fort and just trusting the process of what he's doing because I can imagine in the back of your mind too. I mean, that's dangerous.
Yeah,
And
there
then
is an
watching the
element of danger.
video, it's like he had to get airlifted out, even though he was feeling better at that time. I mean, holy Toledo's.
And it's so much of it too was actually supporting our families through it. So
Oh,
I was the go between. He had a satellite phone, but he was primarily calling me to check in every day.
okay.
And that quick little check in at the end of the day was more like, am I tracking his miles?
Yeah.
How many of his supplements has he taken? Like, I'm helping him navigate
Oh,
problems in real time
wow.
and then answering questions and holding space
Pit crew.
for, amen,
I love that.
holding space for our families. And not only that, but I was talking to a news organization. The Times of India did a piece on him. So I was
Wow.
the mouthpiece for a lot of this at the same time. So it was honestly such a spiritual experience for me too,
Yeah.
in being the rock in the relationship for those couple of months because there was no other option.
Oh my God. Wow. Congratulations to both of you. That is phenomenal. And to give contrast to what you're saying, like when I first met Melissa, I was growing Liftoff agent. And so
Wow.
for me, I wasn't making a whole lot. And she understood it. So she said, you know what?
Yeah.
Like get rid of your condo, come move in with me. I put my little office in the garage and we had 2-car garage, office, a little gym area. And then we also had the washer and dryer during the fact that then COVID hit.
Wow.
And so then I said, hey, 2020, we're done. We're not getting the forced vac stuff. Like, let's get out of here. And so that's when we ended up coming here after I showed her the houses. And she's like, I'm a California girl, but she was born in Tucson. And so then we moved here and then it flopped. And then we got her to
Mm.
quit her job for teaching after we had to do traditional. She was teaching in Paradise Valley. And then now basically I'm now where she used to be, actually more. And then I'm helping her so she can lift off, no pun intended, growing her company. And it's just one of
Beautiful.
those yin and yang situations where we understand exactly what it is. And then I've been doing a lot of like self development to a point where men out there, you got to take care of your queens. Okay. You got to take care of your women and go the extra miles for them, whether it's buying the flowers, taking them on dates, and just really showing up for them. And what I've seen is the more that you do that, the more that you get abundance back.
Absolutely. And it's so funny you said that. So the year that we got together, we made a conscious decision. He stopped doing anything to make money that year. He jokes that he was a sugar baby for that first year we were together training because what he was
Let's
attempting,
go.
no one had ever attempted before.
Okay.
So the training was full time, the gear testing was full time. That's why we were traveling. We
Wow.
spent 3 months in Alaska so he could ski every day. We spent 2 months in Norway so he could get better ski training. We spent a month in Iceland. So we were chasing snow living in Arizona. And at the same time, he was fundraising. So for him to also have to provide during that time didn't make sense. And so that was the agreement. It sounds like a testament to both of you as well for having the conscious conversations. Because if you just make the assumption that the other person's going to provide or that the tables are going to shift or the yin yang, as you like to say, is
Yes.
going to shift without having the conversation, one or both people are going to feel very unsafe.
Well, and
And so for us, we had to have the conscious conversation.
and that comes up still.
Yes,
I'll
and it
go in the
will.
garage. Where are you going?
Absolutely.
Why didn't you tell me? Where
Exactly.
did you disappear to? Sorry.
And it is. It's a practice, though, too.
Yeah,
It's
it
not
is.
about perfection because I think everything, especially in relationships, if we can look at everything as skills,
Yeah.
you either, it's not that you don't have it or you do, it's are you practicing it? And
Yes.
to your point of the shout out to the men for buying flowers. So, one of the things we got very clear on is what are the couple of things that I need to feel really poured into and loved while he's at this pretty much capacity.
Mm.
And for me, that was flowers every week. I
Aw.
love being surprised with flowers every week.
We didn't even plan that. That was organic. I
So, it
love
was exactly that.
I love that. One thing my wife talks about is women and hugs.
Oh,
Making
yes.
sure there's a certain number of
Physical.
hugs because you could be the 5 love language. It could be physical touch,
Mhm.
acts of service, whatever the case may be. I'm affirmations. She's acts of service. So we have the yin yang there. It's just
We are
like,
also opposite on this as
I
well.
gotta go down and get her a cup
Yeah.
of water, or okay, I gotta give her a hug because that's on the top. But she likes those things, and so the biggest thing that her twin sister, shout out to Michelle Lewis, said is that Normie. She calls me Normie. She's like
Love it.
Normie. She's like you're just so coachable. I'm like thanks, Michelle. She's like
Ability to receive feedback, I always say, is the number one thing to look for in a partner.
yes,
And that is the same thing with Akshay. He may not know right off the top of his head
yeah.
what way I like to feel loved because we're not mind readers. So that is the thing for anyone listening to remember to consciously share what it is that makes you feel loved. Because without that conscious share, They're not going to know. You're never going to meet somebody with the exact same way of giving love and receiving love
Amen.
ever.
100%. Yeah, it's for me too, I would say that if there's anyone out there who's listening, I was always very easily distracted. Okay. And so when I was in my 20s, I'm not gonna lie, I had a lot of fun. And so I was always distracted. No one really can catch my attention, but having one that was in line and was direct with what they wanted and how they wanted it, and they said, they didn't say jump, and I'm gonna say how high, but basically it made me feel like, okay, I have something here that's going to catch my attention, keep me on my feet. Plus, she's Spanish and redhead.
She's beautiful.
Thank you so much. And maybe you'll see her soon. And so it really helps me be like, all right, stay focused. And then it's nice too, because once you're a man and you are focused, and coming from my perspective, from the man side, like I'm more successful now because of it.
Exactly.
It's
You have the
amazing.
support at home, and it's amazing too. I believe it is 76% of millionaires are married.
Ooh, you hear that? Get married now.
Yeah. To the right partner.
I know.
But to your point,
Cliff note.
though, around keeping the attention. So, what I loved when I really dove into this work, and what's a core part of the book that I'm co authoring with my husband called Peak Performance Love,
Ooh.
is all about the science of chemistry. So,
Ah.
usually, what happens in relationships over time, and if you are somebody who struggled with attention and the boredom, it's likely you felt a big decrease in dopamine after you were with the same
Ah.
partner for a while. So, the three really core neurotransmitters slash hormones, for the sake of simplification, we'll call it just hormones, that are involved in chemistry are dopamine, which is that it kind of a reward hormone, if you will, that's really focused on when you have novel experiences,
Mm.
and a net newness tends to
Mm.
activate that. And so people are usually chasing the dopamine of the new relationship. And then you have serotonin, which is the feel good hormone, and that's activated through sunlight, exercise, those sort of things. And then you have oxytocin, which is typically only activated through touch, but also through holding prolonged eye contact in moments of shared joy. So if you're on a date and you're having a
Wow.
moment of shared joy and you want to build up some of that feeling of chemistry, hold eye contact for just a moment longer than feels comfortable.
Wow, dude, that is profound and very interesting. And it's like when you have these tools, it was interesting. It was like going to the gym just yesterday,
Hmm.
and I had driven the GTR that day, and then this kid comes up to me and he's like, "Oh, what do you do?" Like one of those social media posts, you know what I'm saying? What is it, School of Hard Knocks? That kid's
Hmm.
crushing it. And then I went over some stuff, and he's like, "Oh, it's so cool that you like know all this stuff." It's like so cool that you know all this stuff. And it just I feel like when you have the tools, then you can have so much more success with the process. And like shamelessly, like I'm learning at the same time that you're learning as well. I guess I'm not really shameless because I'm actually sharing it with you now. And so, but it's so cool to hear this because now I'm like, how can I put this into action? How can I put that into action? So thank you. I just wanted to
Of
say
course.
cliff notes. Thank you.
My pleasure. And with the dopamine piece, so the reason that that tends to go away in relationships is if you're not actively having net new experiences together. And so
Ah,
the intentionality of going to someplace new,
yeah.
trying a cooking class, even going for a walk in a place you haven't been before, now you're activating all the hormones, especially if you are holding hands. So people always say like, "Oh, the honeymoon phase dies."
Yeah.
I don't believe that. I believe it dies if you're not taking consistent action.
Yes. And being mindful. I think, easier said and done for
Of
some.
course.
I understand. It's just being mindful, taking accountability, looking in the mirror and saying, what are you committed to? And if that's like, health or fitness or mindset or relationships, if you really love the person and hopefully you love yourself first, then you can really be able to put this stuff into practical action. It's so true.
And an easy way to do this too is most high performers and those of you listening use a Google Calendar.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Live and die by it.
So perfect. Put a recurring calendar reminder once a week, 30 minutes, to do some sort of active service for your partner or come up with a new date idea, but just simply calendaring it. And that's it.
Okay.
That's all it takes.
So this is Liftoff Experience. I'm starting off next week. This is going to be Thursday. We're going to
Love
start
it.
this off at 7 a.m. I'm going to go ahead and say, think about your wife.
And what are some of the things that she loves that could make her feel loved, or what is a new experience I could plan to do with her in the next week?
All right. So I'm going to say, think about your wife, what you're going to do for a date or fun.
Love it.
Boom. So there you go. And I'm going to make sure that's reoccurring. You could do this right now.
Exactly. Do it live if you're listening now. This is something that we do in our marriage as well. We have recurring calendar reminder for surprising each other. We have a recurring calendar reminder for date night. Like we go on one new date or experience we aim for once a week. If it's more or less, great, but just having it on the calendar and being present to
Yeah.
it is absolutely everything.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that because also to date night for with my daughter. So
Love that.
yeah, so that's something. I met a guy at the gym, and he was just like, beautiful story. He's like, because he knew I had a daughter. I was talking for a brief second, and it was just it was like fleeing. It was nothing crazy, but he was just like, yeah. He's like, the one thing I would do every single week is I would do date night. And he said the moment that I got to walk her down the aisle and do
Wow.
that dance with her at her wedding was just so magical to me, and to give her to her new husband, and how he showed her what she needed to see and showed up for her the way that she would expect to be shown up for was just so beautiful. And so yeah, that's one thing. It's this, hi, how's it going? High performer. And I do that myself. And it's
Yeah.
something that comes up to that. I'm grateful to be a model right now for everyone who's watching, because I feel like that's something that is missing from a lot of the different shows that are out there. I call this the experience, because we do need to do the things, right? Like someone tells me about a book, I'm on Audible and I'm like, all right, boom, got it. Next book I'm reading.
Action is all built through action. That's
Yes.
even the core mantra that we have in Peak Performance Love is go there.
Ooh.
So if it's approaching the person you find attractive, go there. If it is having the hard conversation, go there. And that can be a mantra for anyone listening. When you're having that moment of fear, fear is your compass,
Yes.
especially in your relationship. The moments that you lean into where you are afraid is where you produce the most change and how you end up closing energy leaks within your relationship, because that's really the goal and the work that I do. It's all about closing energy leaks so
Oh
you
my
can
God.
show up as a high performer every single day.
100%. I'm gonna put her on the spot. Jen, you back there?
Yeah.
What up, Jen? She's behind the scenes producing the podcast. I did not forget about you. There she is. And we've had some tough conversations, huh?
Yeah, we have.
I think our relationships a lot has grown a lot since then. Would you say?
Yeah, because like I'm personally a firm believer that you have to have those tough conversations in order to get to the other side, because you can't just brush it under the rug and think
Mm-hmm.
everything is fine.
Exactly, exactly. And so we've grown because of the conversations that we've had, even from a business perspective. And I love it because she's been amazing. And she took what I said and gave me her advice, and I took her advice, and we met in the middle, and then we grew from it. And now she had her first closing last week, and she's crushing it at the company. And I can't wait for all of her future successes. So thanks, Jen. I just wanted to
Thank you for that.
throw you in there.
Thanks. Just kidding. But yeah, I agree with everything you're saying. So
Put me on
I'm
the
back here
spot.
like keep shaking my head. I'm like, yay! And then like laugh silently, like,
I wasn't ready for that.
But the truth is that courage paves the path to peace.
Amen.
I think when you really experience peace in a relationship, it's not because you're ignoring the issues, because what emotions do is they get us into short term thinking. I
Mm,
don't want to bring this up because I don't want to make them mad right now. I don't want to bring this up because it will be uncomfortable for me for a few seconds. But if you're
yes.
able to put yourself in the future version of you and say,
Mm.
what do I want in the future? You will deal with that momentary discomfort very differently.
Ooh, I didn't really think about that. That's a really good way of articulating that. Because even from me, like as a cliff note, we're talking relationships here. My business partner, right?
Mm.
And because we're doing what we're doing in a way that's a bit different. There's no roadmap for what we're doing from the perspective
You're
of
innovating.
the sponsor.
Yeah.
The goal is to innovate the real estate industry.
Yeah.
It's funny you're saying that. Very much in alignment. And so it's like raises. Like that's a tough
Mm.
conversation sometimes. You know what I'm saying? You're like,
Yes.
hey, is it time? Because I would really love a raise. It's been like 5 years. No, not really. But it's one of those things. And then we both. It needs to be a both situation. And so it's like finding that time or whatever else, and it's kind of difficult. But I love your approach, so I'm going to use that.
I appreciate that a lot.
Of
And I'm
course.
excited to hear how it goes
I
too.
will. I will. And I'm excited too. Like, side note here, like, we're gonna do a double date. Like,
Oh, absolutely.
We have to. Yeah,
Absolutely.
this is gonna be fun. I don't know if I'm gonna climb any mountains, but maybe we'll see.
Well, if you want to join the Firvana hiking club, you will definitely be climbing some decent hills, as
Yeah,
my husband likes to call them around here.
that is decent hills. No big deal. No, my wife loves to hike with her father. They did all the
Oh,
time before he bought a house up in Deer Creek. I think we're gonna go say hi to him before they go on their 2 to 3 weeks hiatus. My father-in-law just got married. Speaking of relationships,
amazing.
and 68 just found his partner. My wife
Beautiful.
put him on a dating app, found his partner. They like hit it off the ground running. I was his best man. Just got married in
Wow.
March, and so now they purchased a home, got a dog together, all the thing. And it's funny how you said earlier in the show that the honeymoon stage is technically not a thing. And I actually kind of used that a little bit about the honeymoon stage because
Mm-hmm.
they bought the house and they were just so go, 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 go. I don't know if you can relate to this and maybe you could speak to this.
Yeah.
You're going so fast that sometimes that when you have a second to slow down, it's almost like the dust settles and you're like, oh shit. No, but not really, but like kind of like maybe you didn't have the conversations or maybe
Hmm.
certain things weren't really ironed out and they're going through some things and it's not my story to tell.
Of
I'll
course.
keep it there. But what is your thoughts as far as when maybe people do get together and they run so fast and I don't want to say anything. We're gonna cliff note. I'm not saying anything specifically about their relationship.
But in
I'm in
general,
general, okay?
yes.
Because love you, Papa Bear, Monica, if you're watching this. If someone's out there and it maybe could be the attraction of the physical, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they weren't aligned exactly. So like, what are your takes on that?
So that's where I always talk about going deep early.
Okay.
Going deep early and often. It's okay if you get to that point, but you have to be
Mm,
looking at solutions as a team
got it.
and having those conversations. The sooner the better. Especially the big rock items, right?
Mm-hmm.
Finances, approach to life, lifestyle, family plans, all of those things, having those conversations even about how you will address when issues come up.
Okay.
And so I always encourage people to go deep early. And there's ways to do this that doesn't feel like you're interviewing the person in front of you, because that's the
Mm,
fear that I hear from a lot of people, especially in early dating, for example. Things
yeah.
are moving fast, they're attracted, they want to ask the deeper questions, but they don't want to feel like they're interviewing their partner. So I actually have a list of 30 early dating questions people can ask
Okay.
that will help you get answers to things around core values that don't feel like a job interview.
I love that.
One great example of this is asking someone who they admire and why. And the
Ah,
reason is because what they say or who they choose doesn't matter, but the reasons that they say they admire that person are actually their values.
got it.
Because most of the time, if you ask someone what they value, they're going to speak aspirationally. They're
Ah.
not actually going to say what they truly value. But if you think about a person that you admire and you start describing them, those are the characteristics you want to embody.
Mm.
So asking questions, even like if you had an entire weekend free, how would you spend it? Tells you a lot about their lifestyle, how they enjoy decompressing, what they would spend their time doing. And then the question is not what are they doing, but could you support what they say they would like to do?
Fire. Love it. Okay, I want to go through another exercise and I want to go a little bit further to like the beginning stages. So I
Yes.
remember there's a time where I would write down, like I remember I had a little sticky note. I wrote down
The
exactly
list.
what I wanted from a
Yeah.
person. And I know my wife had the same.
We both did too.
Awesome. So what would you recommend for the viewers and listeners out there? What's a practical action steps that they could take to start to manifest and imagine what that perfect person for them would be like?
So, two parts to this. First is identifying that kind of perfect person.
Okay.
The first is write down 3 to 5 core values that
Mm-hmm.
you know that would really not only be the ones that you have, but the
Yeah.
ones that would support you in the relationship.
Okay.
So, a great place to start with this is actually to ask your best friend, what values do you think my partner should have? Because your
Ooh.
best friend probably thinks of things that you didn't. Mine, for example, said that I should look for someone who's generous. I never had that on my list before. But as somebody who used to be a people pleaser, having a partner who is inherently generous is very important.
I love that.
The second is write down a couple of the lifestyle things that you would like. Are
Okay.
you somebody who loves to travel a lot? Are you someone who's always up in the mountains on the weekend?
Okay.
Whatever that may be, so that you can start to understand what is actually a deal breaker for you. So only a couple of things in that in relation to those two categories.
Okay.
But then beyond that, and getting a crystal clear picture of how you want to feel with them. Do you want to feel expansive? Do you want somebody who's going to be your biggest cheerleader, your biggest supporter, especially if you're a high performer? It's probably a yes. So
Yes.
focusing on the feeling that you want to experience with them instead of their resume. Because what will happen is you will end up on a date with somebody who has a perfect Tinder profile or a perfect Hinge profile. And then you will realize in practice that they don't have the same shared values. So focus on the experience that you have. Do you feel uplifted after your date with them? Do you feel excited about life? Are they a big believer in your dreams? And then the second piece to this is take action. So beyond manifesting, I believe manifesting does not occur without action. And if you are sitting at home dreaming of and meditating on your perfect person, but you aren't picking up and getting out there and meeting people and going on dates, you're not going to find them. And so I think committing to, again, the calendar, put a calendar reminder
Yes.
for 2 hours every week to either be on dating apps, go out in person, which is what I always recommend. Go in person to a new space.
Yeah.
Because people often say, oh, dating's hard. I haven't met anybody. But how many times are you putting yourself in a new environment? How many times are you being honest with the people around you that you're looking for partnership?
That is so powerful. I did leave out the feeling part, but
Mm.
now analyzing and thinking through what you're saying, I'm like, we both like working out. She runs, so I'll run with her like on Saturdays or when we're traveling. I always run with her wherever we're traveling. Very expansive. So we
Yes.
love like she'll have her moment and it's like trying to go to bed earlier this week and she's like all excited about this stuff and I'm just like, oh wow, tables to turn, huh? And because you have your moments of
Hmm.
like whatever you're working on or you're going through and
Feeling
you're
lit
just so
up
excited
and
and just building it up and you're just like letting it all out. I'm like, we go to the gym, we get at 4:30 in the morning, can we go to sleep now? No. But now looking back at it, I see a lot of what you're saying from the feeling perspective because it's so pertinent. And it reminds me of manifestation from the perspective of like, it's not about how you do it, and it's not about the actual thing itself, but like how you feel becoming it or achieving it, and just already like embodying it. And I know that's a lot
exactly.
harder for people to even conceptualize. But the best way I can explain it is that like my 10-year goal was the GTR, and I remember going and like renting one
Hmm.
and sitting in one, then renting one, and then driving it, and then embodying the feeling of it. And then I was just like, okay, like one day, and then that one day came. And now it's like every single time you're in it, or you are driving in it, or you give someone else a ride, and then it just light up, and you're like, takes you right back to that feeling again. And it's like holding on to that. I feel like it almost is easier as soon as you get that first, like, you could say trophy. The car's a trophy, the first
Exactly.
reward. And then you're like, okay, now I could do this again and again and again and again. So,
Absolutely. And I think that's a great explanation of it. And beyond the feeling and meditating on it, because that's ultimately the vision that I had. It
yeah.
was the feeling. It wasn't what he looked like. It wasn't what he was doing for work. It was the feeling of expansion.
Yeah.
And I knew that that's what I wanted in my partnership is to
Wow.
feel that sense of expansion. And I think that that's so important more than the feeling of attraction because attraction can be built.
Yeah.
You can take an intentional action. And like I said, we did not have our movie moment the first time we met, and it was through the alignment, the deeper conversations that we had built attraction. We also went on hikes together, we did physical activities, so we were seeing each other in a lot of different contexts to
Mm.
build that sense of attraction and ultimately love. And really, it's putting yourself in new environments. And the one note I want to make for anybody who's looking for their partnership, if you're feeling like you're in a rut about it, one of the things I recommend is spend time around couples or people who are positive about dating and relationships.
Ooh.
Because that was the thing that I really started doing before I met my husband. I thought I want as many couple friends as I can find rather than spending time with other people who are disheartened with the dating process because that energy is contagious. If you go into a
Yes.
date thinking, oh, there's no good men or there's no good women, what are you going to find?
Yes.
And so if you start being around people who are models for what you want, you not only get in the frequency if you believe in that, but you also start to see and hear from people and get connected to people who are potential partners because that
Wow.
couple may have a single friend who they could set you up with. But if you're not being honest about it, if you're not spending time with people who are doing the thing that you want, it's going to be hard to find it.
Yeah, 100%. It reminds me of like you're wanting a new car
Yes,
and you want this new whatever it is, call it an SUV, a white SUV, and the next thing you know, you're like, why am I seeing all these white SUVs around for?
exactly.
Right? And
You
so
filter for the thing you're looking for.
yes, it's so powerful. And the craziest thing is as we're going through this process, how things are so relative. Like it's like there is no really like when you get real deep, there is no really separation, right?
Mhm.
Everything is just one. And then when you see how relationships are built, then you see how businesses are built, then you see how all these things are very much like, oh, they're also cohesive. And once you win in one area, then you can win in the second, the third, the fourth. And that's where I feel like magic happens. When you have that partner, you have that relationship, and then you have that business, and you have those friends, and you get to travel the world. And it's just like, oh, this is real.
Pinch me. Yes, it's
Yeah, this is
happening.
real. It's happening.
And I think everything in life is a combination of serendipity and strategy.
That was fire. You see that again?
Everything in life is a combination of serendipity and strategy.
Wow. So I've seen serendipitous type moments.
Mhm.
Let's go a little deeper on the strategy side.
So I believe the strategy side is taking aligned action with the thing that you want.
Got it.
If you consistently take aligned action, if you're consistently, for example, you're looking to meet someone, going to new places, going to places where other high performers are, eventually serendipity is going to come in, luck, whatever you have call habit, but it can't show up unless you're taking action. And if you think about that in business too,
Yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
clients that show up, they would not show up if you were not taking aligned action, if you didn't
Yes.
have that strategy behind it. So it's the
Yes.
combination. To say that there's not some sort of mysticism to the world, I think is a little far fetched because I mean, even thinking through my own meeting process of my husband,
Yeah.
there was a lot of serendipity in that, but it wouldn't have happened without aligned action, without a strategy, because I had actually planned to go to a new event every week when I moved here until I met him. I just got lucky. It
Yeah.
was the first event.
And just left all your stuff and packed your car up and drove.
Drove my new Tesla down here that did not expect to be here.
Dude, I mean, that's awesome. And it makes a whole lot of sense too at the end of the day. Like the dating apps and social, however you want to meet is fine. I just do like the idea of being more in person and
Mhm.
having that opportunity of going to an event and then
Yes.
being in alignment where then you spoke with Michael and Michael connected you. And it wasn't even, and I know Michael too, that you're smart, Michael. Because and that's when you're around the right people too, because it's a
Exactly.
different flow. It's not so much like, oh, I know what so and so. It's not like high school anymore. It's like
Yeah.
it's more refined. It's a process where it's like, less is more. Let's just see what happens. Let's just put the seed out there, and it bloomed into a beautiful rose.
100%. And with that too was a bit of strategy in
Yeah.
that I picked an event where I thought people who are in alignment would be. So for me,
Mm,
biohacking has always been my side hobby. A side
love
hobby. I
it.
really got into the science of it and loved optimizing health. And I thought, where can I go where there's going to be people who are health conscious, who are
Hmm.
also high performers? And this would be the space. Now, the other caveat for anybody listening here is when you go to these events, don't just talk to people you're attracted to or people who are single.
Ooh.
Talk to couples, practice connecting and making friends with the right people because you never know who is going to know the right person for you.
And then if you talk to couples, double date.
Exactly.
You
Down the
know.
line. And they may have a single friend that they've been waiting to set up. Right. And there's so much to that of, again, going there with the intention of connection and not, I have to find my person at this event, because that's a very quick way to become disheartened with going to live events. If you keep going, there's nobody who's single. And out of that event, not only did I make friends with Michael, but I met my best girlfriend, Claudia, here.
Aw.
She was brand new here. She was also looking for her person. And we were sort
Aw.
of laughing because we went there hoping to meet a man and we met each other. And that's the beauty, though, in just going with the intention of connection,
Yes.
not I have to get this exact outcome that I'm looking for, because it opens you up to serendipity.
Yes, because you'll be pushing it away.
Exactly.
Harder to like really conceptualize that, but that's what happens. You push it away. The more you want it, the more, oh, I can't believe this. Why did that happen to me? Why did this happen to me? And then you're just push, 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 instead of like being open and
Be open
receiving.
to the how.
Yes.
Know what you want, be open to the how. And that's the same thing within business. I guarantee your business did not build the way you anticipated in the beginning. If you had laid out an exact roadmap, this is not the direction or the path that you would have thought, but this is the outcome that you wanted.
I never see myself in a millionaires going to Japan and the Philippines and being on a plane and traveling 32 hours. Like, no. I never thought I'd be
Exactly.
giving we just had two of our team members get their 10-year visa and we had them go to San Francisco. My partner drove from Oregon to pick them up. took them to Oregon, then they came to Arizona, then they went over to Sacramento, and then they went back, and now they're in a house with their teammates in the Philippines, and you never know how, and it doesn't matter.
The how is irrelevant.
Yeah.
But that's why having that clarity of exactly what is key. So you can be
Yes.
open to receive it. You can share with people exactly what you're looking for in terms of qualities. Because if you just say, I'm looking for a particular visual archetype, if you will, you're never going to find it.
Yep.
And you are going to find it, and it's not going to be the thing that's going to make you happy long term. And so getting that clarity of the values and lifestyle values is everything.
You know, it's funny, Cliff. Now, I'm just gonna be real here. It's almost just like a nice to look at and
Yes.
leave it at that.
Well said.
I'm just gonna
No,
say
it's
that,
so
you know?
real though. And attraction again, and that chemistry can be built
Yes.
and rebuilt, and you can feel more desire for your partner once you start communicating with them about the things that you want than you can imagine. Because I think rom-coms have set up, particularly women, but men also, to believe that, oh, if the first kiss isn't perfect, it's not it. You're connecting with somebody who has had other partners with other preferences.
Yeah.
So being able to share and communicate what your preferences are, that's where you're going to feel that fire, that chemistry, the way of connecting that you want to.
Amen. 100%. Curious,
Yes,
bestie, did she find her yet? Her love?
she did.
What?
Yes, she did. And they're in the dating process right now. So they're
Okay.
at the stage where they may be moving in at some point, but she's also been
Oh.
quite through the ringer in terms of dating. And she also watched me go through all 100 plus first dates before I met my
Wow.
husband. And she was actually the one who called that culturally it would actually be good for me to marry a man who was Indian.
Really?
Yes, I had only dated white men predominantly previously.
Yeah.
And what ultimately happened was she said, you know, with your kind of core, somewhat more traditional values, someone of Asian culture, Indian culture would be a really good fit for you. Yeah.
Interesting. Wow. So you can actually,
She called
that's
it.
that's a good way to actually think about it. Like to think about how you can go with a different type of ethnicity
Hmm.
that could fit the feeling or the aspirations or the manifestation of who would fit best for you. Wow. Interesting.
And so much of that, we're both very family oriented. We talk to our parents almost every day.
Love it.
We're super connected. And that was a shared core value. That doesn't necessarily mean only people of certain descents have that,
Yeah.
but some cultures inherently do.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, first redhead. I've never been with
Yeah.
someone who's older, first redhead, but and obviously there's things too that were like dead on, so I'm like, I'm happy. And I've already signed the contract, no taking it back. That's what my mother-in-law says
I
that.
love that.
She's like, I signed the contract, there's no take backs. She's hilarious.
That's amazing.
Shout out to Monica. But that's awesome for your bestie, and best of luck to her as she goes through the process. And it is a process at the end of the day. It
is.
really is. And I couldn't imagine going back. I mean, maybe, yeah, it's different when you have the tools, but there's just so much time involvement as far as learning the person, talking to the person, going through the process. And, you could be out there feeling defeated because you've done it so many times. Keep
Definitely.
going.
Yes. Yes. Because, it's the only, if you were to use the game analogy, it's the only game where you need one to win.
Mm,
And that's the thing, especially as somebody who has gone on over 100 first dates, I can tell you there's ups and downs,
yep.
but I knew what I wanted for the long term.
I love that.
And consistent action is
Yeah.
going to get you that.
That's beautiful. I love that for you. I want to go into a little bit of a different direction, but it's going to be very much cohesive to what we're talking about. And it's like when you were going from the corporate world going into, and then you had your own thing for a little while, and then now you're going into what you're doing with the personal development from the perspective of working high performers, the relationship side. I want to talk about like being in alignment. So I want to take a segment on alignment because I think it's so important, because there's something to be said about being in alignment and how that will be a key performance indication of you being able to find your partner, I feel like, as well.
Yes.
And you said something before we even got on the show, because I told you that I'm playing around with this concept, the Liftoff experience, and I appreciate you being here to experience it with us and you coming on to pour into our viewers and listeners. How do you get to that point? How did you get to that point? How did you know? And getting into that point, how do you feel?
To answer the first part of your question,
Yeah.
so there are two things that that make for a fulfilling life:
Okay.
purpose and connection.
Got it.
And for me, I knew that my purpose wasn't just what I was doing. I'm somebody who always, as I like to say, I juice the lemon of life. I squeeze every last drop out, and whatever it is I'm doing, I go all in.
All in. Love
All
it.
in. And the same thing was true when I was in the corporate space, when I had my own consulting business on the marketing side for 8 years.
Okay.
And it was all in on everything that I was doing. But I knew that at the core, I'm somebody who was always more fascinated by connection, and where the curiosity, the greater curiosity for me has always been on relationships.
Mm.
And so for me, once I figured out this is where I wanted to be and being in that alignment, I could tell it just felt different. I felt more energized. I felt more excited every day. Even when I was working longer hours on developing things with the book, writing, working with clients, and the hours were much longer than in my other business that
Yeah.
was more lucrative and less hours at the time because I had gotten to a high level in
Yeah.
the consulting that I was doing. I was working with Fortune 100s, and it was very turnkey. I had my process frameworks and I was still in the building phase, but I
Wow.
felt more energy. I felt more excitement. That feeling of joy was just generally more present even when I was working longer hours. And that's how
Wow.
I knew I was in alignment and in my purpose and in my real soul calling. And it was also interesting to watch how all the things I had been fascinated by over time, brainwaves, neuroscience, biology, I was finally getting to apply all my passions to my purpose.
Let's go. It's interesting when you think about the process of when you're in your alignment, you're doing what you're doing, and you're working less and making more. And then when you really find your calling, it's not that you really need to be making more to be more happy.
Exactly.
But then,
It becomes lucrative over time is the goal, and it has now, but at the starting point, it's not going to feel that way.
yes,
But your energy
yes.
is going to be different.
Yeah, it reminds me of my wife as well. She was in, even Jen behind the scenes, teaching. You want to teach and you want to serve, and shout out to both of them for all their, hard work and dedication because the kids don't know what they don't know, and they're just going through the process. And the teachers have so much passion and, they want to serve and support these kids. And then it's just like, sometimes, like, I've heard my wife multiple times, just dragged down and tired, and there's things that she hears. And now watching her be in her alignment with her tea company and then now working on her book, and it's just like so much different. And that's for all of you out there. Like, I challenge you to be in your alignment. And the one thing that stuck out for me, what you just said there, was that what made you curious? Like that was the
Following
catalyst.
curiosity.
Yes. Also killed the cat now. But following the curiosity. So I like that because I never really thought about it like that way. But yes, I've always been a curious person myself, and I am curiously following this. So it's right on point. So
And even within relationship, there's really 4 core virtues I talk about, and one of them is curiosity.
okay.
You never stop dating your partner. That is one of the key to having what I like to call peak performance love and having that relationship that really fuels you.
Yes.
Never stop being curious. Presence, being fully with your partner when they're there. Having courageous conversations. Courage is at the core of everything. I believe it is the core virtue that is really the linchpin to everything else. And then play.
Wow.
And those are the 4 things. If you practice those consistently in whether it's friendships or your partnership, you're going to have a really powerful partnership.
Wow. Hey, there's the tools. I mean, this episode has been just so amazing because I feel like there's so much because you hear a lot of fluff. I like the let's stop the fluff, let's get directly into the nuts and bolts. And you see a lot of influencers and people out there that like not to give everything because they want to sell their book or their course or keep people on a cliff note. And at the end of the day, it's like just give it all back.
I'm a firm believer too that what makes your IP or your intellectual property powerful is not just sharing the high level of these are the core virtues, right? But it's
Yeah.
actually being able to take someone through the
Mm-hmm.
experience, the action, and implementation that
Mm.
differentiates you. Even back when I was doing marketing consulting, I actually taught one of my assistants my entire process for doing a social media audit that I charged tens of thousands of dollars for. And she said, I
Interesting.
can't believe you're showing me this. And I said, because I'm also a big believer in abundance and that there's always enough opportunity to go around. So I have no problem sharing exactly how I do things because I know how I do it is going to be different than how you do it.
Yes. So
And
fire.
even with relationships, yes, I'm sharing with you the 4 core virtues that are in this book. I'm sharing with you some of the tactical things that I'm going to teach in the book in the course that I have. But it's the implementation that's the differentiation and it's the support. And my ultimate mission is not to be a gatekeeper of information. It is to give people the information to have truly incredible relationships. And it's through that giving away and that consistent giving away that not only you build trust with people,
Yeah.
but you actually make change. And if my ultimate goal is to be of service and make change, I'm not gatekeeping.
Amen. 100%. I love it. And not to mention, someone can hear one thing or read the same book 3 times.
Exactly.
And they're going to hear it differently every single time because the transfer of energy and the knowledge, the time frame, what you're going through,
Their
more tired, more
experience.
energy, their experience. Exactly. And that's what I love about you and your character and what you're doing,
Thank you.
because I could tell that you truly want to help people. And I feel that the basic catalyst for the world is relationships. And I feel like if we could get deeper and have better relationships from the perspective of, because when you, I'm gonna go a little bit down a rabbit hole here, when
Love
you
it.
when you think about like collective consciousness,
Yes.
and from the perspective of collective consciousness, and you have more people in alignment in a relationship that is harmonious compared to relationships that are fragmented, then there
Mhm.
could be more harmonious, like just overall energy
Yes.
promoting in the ether, the universe, call it what you will. And I think we need more of that. And this is the catalyst to help with this process. You are the catalyst to help with this process because I feel like there's a deeper, bigger meaning, but we have to go on a micro scale
Exactly.
to get to that, to the larger scale to really be able to, have the ripple effect.
Thank you. And that's truly what lights me up about this work
Mm.
is because when people fix their relationships or find those relationships and feel a sense of safety, excitement, they show up better in every other part of their lives.
Yeah.
And that was even my experience. Even in my relationship, we're continuing to have courageous conversations. Anything that's an energy leak, we stop, we drop everything, we work through it.
Let's go.
And even if you're familiar with the Hormozis,
Oh yeah.
yeah, of course. Alex and Layla Hormozi post publicly about how they will cancel all their business meetings until they resolve their personal issue first because the energy leak. And I could not be in more agreement with that as well because when we have that safe, harmonious home,
Yeah.
we can show up better everywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's what really high performance is all about. It's all about being able to show up. What is that 1% edge? And your relationship can be that 1% edge.
And let's just take that a little bit deeper here. People out there like business professionals may think that if they cancel meetings or what have you because they need to work out like the Hermosies do, Alex and Layla need to work something out that shamed upon or whatever the case may be. It could be so much more opposite of the truth because then it's almost like they then are leveled up in a sense, which you are now talking about that publicly because of the fact that they're like, hey, we got to work on ourselves first. If we're not good, the business, nothing else is going to be good. And I'm not going to be 100% present for you because I'm in the back of my mind thinking about this and that and the other because my partner and the conversation or whatever that hasn't been resolved.
Exactly.
So I absolutely love that. And I think that people respect that when you're honest.
100%. And that honesty and transparency is what builds trust. That's at the core
Yes.
of what vulnerability is that honest transparency. And that's how we create trust. Even if you look at it from a biological level, that's actually what builds up the hormones of oxytocin. And there's an
Interesting.
oxytocin release when you are honest and vulnerable. And that's what
Wow.
creates connection.
I love that. That's so interesting. Just comprehending the whole thought process of how that's worked and different implications and like, yeah, totally makes sense.
the
Totally
more
makes
the
sense.
more you share, I mean, even if you look at extreme scenarios. So my husband was a Marine, and the bond he shared, people will say yes, it's trauma bond, but it's also the release of all those hormones in these extreme environments. You feel this deepened connection. And even if
Mm,
you hear about people who've done like MDMA experiences, it's a release of oxytocin. That's how they're getting people to connect, work through trauma.
mm-hmm.
And so when you're having that neurotransmitter or hormone present, that's when you
Mm.
feel that deeper sense of connection and bond with another person. But that can also be created simply through sharing vulnerably.
I like that. Yeah, that makes a whole lot of sense. And I think that that's something that definitely needs to be implicated, of course, in relationships from a personal standpoint and on a professional standpoint,
Yes.
because that's one thing, outside of just creating something like the Liftoff experience to help you all be able to have more liftoff in your life, personally, professionally, spiritually, and this is talking personally in relationships. I also feel in the corporate world, one thing that I'm really excited about is changing the way that the structure has been done from the perspective of like having more of an open door policy and then really praising those that are doing the things day in, day out, and really going deeper with giving them the opportunity to see that they're seen and they're heard. And, it's unfortunate sometimes, even from the perspective, if you guys know about a demo or strategy call, in the marketing tech world, there's so many walls that have been put up, and because it's this like perceived perception of what it's supposed to be, because I'm I'm checking out a couple companies. I don't want you to know my budget. Like there's all these things, right? And it's just like, well, if you were just to be honest, like we're humans first and foremost. Like I don't need anything from you, nor you need nothing from me. So if we're just like put it all like all the guards down, just be true and authentic, there could be something here.
A
But
100%.
it doesn't happen.
And it does, I would say
It
sometimes. There was
does.
one CEO that I worked with, and shout out to Nathan Christensen and his wife, who
Shout out.
started an HR company. Now they went through a few name evolutions,
Okay.
but now known as Mineral, and they were recently bought. But what I loved about his leadership, I thought he was the best example of leadership I'd ever seen, in that he would share vulnerably about the things that he didn't know.
Okay.
He would over communicate with the team, send out weekly letters to, like, I believe it was about a 500-person team at one point.
Wow.
But that consistent holding town halls, being really vulnerable and honest consistently about where the business was, what their budget constraints were, what was happening, is what built what I would say one of the strongest followings I've seen in a business.
Wow.
And it was that active vulnerability. And I know a lot of leaders are scared to share vulnerably, to look not qualified, to not look like they're in control. But it's actually the acknowledgement of when you don't know something that makes you look that much more confident.
It's so true. It is so true. It's funny too because I'm the type of person that if something does happen, then I'll do a video, which I did yesterday, just about situation that I was going through. And it was great. It happened for me for a reason, and I got to then put some things out there. And I believe that things do happen for a reason. And then you shine light on a subject that hopefully one, two, three, maybe even hundreds of people see it, and then maybe it's the ripple effect, and then maybe next time things will be different. But it's interesting how it's happens in business. It happens in personal relationships. It happens in intimate relationships, and it's just like, why do you think people have the guard up? Do you think that like there's a certain level of trust that has to happen before they can let it down? Like, why is that innately a thing?
I think especially for high performers, we want
Mhm.
to stay in control.
Ah,
I think it's a sense of loss of control.
okay.
The guard is there to prevent losing control.
You just called me out.
I just called myself out as a recovering control freak.
Oh, really?
Oh, 100%.
Oh, wow.
100%. That's part of why I went into business for myself.
Makes sense.
I wanted to be control over my own schedule, the projects I was working on.
Okay.
It is that sense of control that most high performers are seeking.
Mm.
And it is only when we start to surrender that we can actually receive support, receive trust, and build trust within ourselves.
Wow. And here's another example of us just being vulnerable and being open and honest. And I think that best way to do it is just be the example.
And that's all we can do, because
Yeah.
the only thing that we ultimately have control over is how we respond to things. Even to your point, either things happen for a reason. I think that that is a very empowering view. There are some really bad things that happen in the world,
Yeah.
but it's what we do with it.
Yes.
And it is the choice to not be in a victim state and take control and ownership in a way that is in alignment. That is the model that we're all aiming for. So I love that you shared
Aw,
that.
thank you so much.
That's powerful.
That's what I always say. Like I say, okay, if everything happens for us for a reason, not to us, but for us,
Exactly.
because to us is a victim. Why me? Why this? Why that?
Mhm.
Then it's like I look at like, why did it happen? And I might not have the answer at that moment. It might come in a day, a week, or whenever. But eventually it'll come. And when it comes, then I'm just like, oh my God, that is so interesting. And more times than less, what comes up for me is that I'm being given the tools or the keys to doors I didn't know I need to have opened.
Oof. Beautifully said.
And then I open the key or open the door with the key and I'm like, oh my God. And then you're like, the next time it comes up, you're like, okay, now I know how to navigate this. And you do, and you're like, yes, thank you for the gift.
Yes.
appreciate you, Lord, Jesus, whatever you want to say, divine. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And I think that is, I mean, that was the core of the work that I did at 40 Years of Zen. So they
Yeah.
took us through a 9-step, essentially forgiveness protocol.
Mm.
And ultimately looking for the gift in the trauma, the thing that you want to rewire.
Got it.
And with that, I do want to say for anyone listening, this does not mean you want to spiritually bypass the experience you are having. Feel your feelings, truly feel them, the anger, even the moment of victimhood of why me.
Yes.
All feelings are valid. And if you're pushing the feeling away, that's when it gets stuck. But if you can feel your way through it, allow yourself to experience the grief, the loss, whatever the hard emotion is.
Mm.
And then on the other side of that, you begin to look for the gift.
Oof. Melissa and I, my wife and I, talk about it. It's like it's the dis-ease that causes disease in the body, and we hold things on, and we totally don't even know it. And I have had stomach things come up for me, throat chakra, wife as well. How many of you in the shoulders all tense?
Oh, yeah.
And then it's just like you gotta get a massage, and it's like we don't think about it, but it's like, hold on, what? Like you're gonna tell me that like something that can happen in the physical world because I had a argument with my wife, or I had an altercation with someone at work, that like it's in my body now, like I got this lump on my back, I got to get the tennis ball and roll out because of that. Like no way. But it's like,
It's all connected.
right,
It's all connected. And
it's all
that's why
connected.
I'm so big on addressing issues before they spiral into something bigger, before it has to become conflict, or even when you do have something that's a repeated pattern of conflict in the relationship, shifting the pattern.
Yes.
Because it only takes one person to shift a pattern.
Yes.
And we get to model the behavior that we want to see. And even within ourselves and in our bodies, if we want to shift the pattern of stress, tightness, whatever it may be, we need to sit with, is there anything that's an energy leak for me right now? Is there anything that I haven't said? Is there anything I
Yes.
need to address with the people around me? Because usually that's where it stems from.
Yes. And please, 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 you're numbing yourself, drugs and alcohol and just
TV even.
shooting it out, TV, YouTube, you name it. Like just head on,
And I will say emotions will usually pass through your body in about 30 seconds if you're willing to sit with it.
Really?
So a really elevated emotion, 30 seconds to a minute, your body will relax. But if you try and numb it in that short period, like 30 to 60-second period, and you intercept it, it's going to keep happening until you deal with it. So if in
Interesting.
that moment, if you can just sit with yourself and breathe for 1 minute, you can usually shift the emotion. Emotions are fast.
Okay.
They come on quickly.
That's really good
And they
to
can
know.
also leave quickly. And even if you don't believe that, the placebo effect of now hearing this is going to help you the next time.
Ooh. So let's talk about,
Our thoughts are so malleable.
oh my God.
Our experience is so malleable. And so if
Yeah.
you set the frame, this emotion is only going to last for 30 to 60 seconds, it probably will.
Yeah. And everything you're saying too is affirmation, right? You're like putting it out there. It's so powerful. I want to go into a little bit of like services, right? We're going in now almost an hour and 20. Can't believe it. So going into your
flown by.
flown by, going to your services, and like, if someone's out there that's like listening to all this and they're just like, oh my God, I'm overwhelmed. I don't even know where to start. Like, what would you recommend? Of course, all your links should be down below so they can follow you on social and what have you. Are you someone that just focuses on the beginning stages? Or are you someone that also like helps with like the middle stages? Maybe they went through the honeymoon phase and now they're just like, you know?
Absolutely. And for me, in terms of the one-on-one clients that I work with,
Yeah.
it's both. It is some
Okay.
people who are looking for their partner and it's
Okay.
people who are in it. But there's a couple of core things that I focus on. So for me, it's not about necessarily the stage, but if you are looking to shift a pattern of behavior,
Okay.
whether it's in your present relationship or even in the dating process,
Okay.
love working with people on pattern shifting,
Ooh.
love it on navigating hard conversations,
Okay.
and setting up systems to approach dating, to approach relationship, to reduce the likelihood of burnout. And so for me, I'm very, very systems approach. And it's all about the future planning because I often get asked, what's the difference between what you're doing and therapy?
Oh, yeah, that's true.
And therapy is typically focused on the past. It's on healing past wounds, working through trauma, those kind of acute moments, or working through past. I am very much all about the work that I do is future focused. What's your goal? How do we achieve it? It's creating those action plans and
Love it.
working with people. So the two kind of core ways I work with people is either some sort of coaching package that can be used as needed or VIP days. If somebody wants to go deep, come in with their partner as well. I also sometimes do this with my husband. So we'll work with
Mm,
couples, and so you can get the male and female perspective. But really,
beautiful.
it's going deep, transformation, skills, actions afterwards, so that you have something that you can take away and implement
Mm,
same day.
I love that. And I think that at the end of the day, it's like, I love that from the perspective of like, I mean, have you ever picked up a good book before? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And just like watch a good podcast. Welcome. And just took something from it where you're like, wow, like, okay, I can apply this to whatever. I love that saying of like the 1% better every day.
Yes.
And I feel like there's a stigma around sometimes people feeling less than because of going to like therapy, And I feel like if you really are ready to level up and you're ready to lift off and find your partner, like, why wouldn't you do something to then be able to just explore the tools that you'll learn to see what can happen? Not to mention also just like to level up just your relationship in general, because even if it's not something new,
Yes.
it could be the new, the old new, like, like you've already been in a relationship for a while, whatever, but now you get a new opportunity to be able to uh, see your partner in a way that maybe you haven't seen in a long time.
And be more connected. And that's where I'll always talk to people too and say,
Hmm.
all right, if it's not the right fit for one on one work, then I have a dating course. I
Mm,
also have a lot of free materials out there and
yeah.
different downloadables and things and people can use to start implementing. And I will only say, it's the right time to work with me if you're looking to accelerate the change and you have a specific outcome that you want.
Wow.
And if that's the case, great. If not, then I will give you all the free resources I have and access to whatever it may be. But for me, it's to be of service and to be in the right space of, is this the best thing for you right now?
Amen. Yeah, 100%. We do the same thing on the sponsor Liftoff feed. It's like,
Love
here's all
it.
the free stuff. Got the YouTube channel, got the
Yep. Got the YouTube
podcast,
channel,
got all the,
Instagram. Yeah.
all the free stuff. And then it's like, you want it? Cool. If not, let's have a conversation. So for you and your husband, so did he, is like, so this is yours to like just yours, and then he comes in to help co-create?
Yep. He goes straight. Like he's going to be a co-author on the book
That's
that because
amazing.
we've created a lot of these concepts together.
Yeah.
I'm the primary writer, the person that's
Yeah.
speaking more in this is space. And his area of focus is really mindset for high performance. So we do a lot of crossover work. Even in the work
Wow.
he does, he ends up doing relationship coaching, whether or not he realizes it.
Yeah.
And so much of it comes down to working with high performers. We have the
Hmm.
same type of people we love to work with. And sometimes it's helpful, especially for the men that I work with, to hear the male perspective or the fears or the things that he went through. Like he even came to the event that I did with Mantras,
Yeah.
and during the Q&A was very vulnerably sharing about some of the things we had to work through early in our relationship. So
Wow.
whatever gives people the most transformation and the most confidence in taking action in their love lives is what we want.
I love that. That makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, and it's so cool. Congratulations for both of you guys being able to co-create like
Thank
that,
you.
in a different type of way. Because I know that like there's a lot of partners that do the same thing together. It's cool that
Hmm.
you have like a little bit of your own things, like Melissa
We
and I as
definitely have
well.
separate businesses, but
Yeah.
there's crossover. We offer support for each other, and it's one of the fun things we get to do in our relationship.
Oh, yeah. I think it's for anyone out there who does things with your maybe just things separate, but want to do things with your partner. Like we do like the fix and flip. We'll see. We're gonna look at our property on Sunday, but I don't want to
Love
talk
it.
too soon. The fix and flip, and then Airbnb, we do that as well. And then she has her tea company, and then we have the real estate thing, which is like so polar opposite. But it
Yes.
was funny. We had a podcast a couple days ago with the Real Estate versus Technology show,
Mm.
and I was like talking to the gentleman. We're pretty much already done. I don't like rushing. I like to be present, right? Phones down, we're talking. Like this is it. And so then I was like, all right. And then next thing you know, I go out, and speaking of having a partner that's there that has your back, she was already on the call with Anna, who was going to be here, and hopefully you'll be able to meet her. And so, because she was messaging both of us, which is perfect. So it's nice when you have someone that has your back that can look out for you like that, which is just beautiful.
I couldn't agree more. And
Yeah.
I think we just had a wonderful guest walk in
We
too.
did. We do. I think so. This is going to be a special part of the episode, the experience part. Not that it hasn't already been experiential. So we're going to switch this up. I'm going to put you here, so you're going to be leading, and then we're going to bring in my wife, and let's have some fun and co-create.
Wonderful. And I'm going to take you through an activity, an abbreviated version of one that I love to do with couples
Okay.
to create some extra transformation. It's called the couple calibration method. So we're going to
Ooh.
calibrate to each other, have a moment of acknowledgement and a little moment of vulnerability if you're ready.
All right. Let's do it.
Let's do it. Amazing. Well, thank you so much for being willing to go through this experience
Of
and to do
course.
this live. And I'm really excited to take you through kind of like one of those micro transformations that I do a lot with clients, usually in an hour, but we're condensing it to just a few minutes here. And really, the goal of this is, as you're already a very high performing couple, to calibrate together, to have that moment of acknowledgement and to feel a little deeper in closeness. So, thank you for being willing to be vulnerable and be here today.
I'm ready for it.
Thank you for the invite.
Absolutely. So, to start this activity, what I would love for you're already sitting on a very cozy couch, so you're already in some contact, but I would love if you'd be willing to either touch knees or hold hands just for a moment to quickly calibrate. And the reason from this, from biology standpoint, is anytime we're in physical contact with our partner, it creates an oxytocin release.
I feel good.
I love it. This is also true for any of you listening that are about to have a hard conversation with your partner. This is one of the rules in my marriage is we always hold hands while we're having a hard conversation.
Ooh.
It will down regulate both of you immediately. So to begin, I would also love if you'd be willing to gently close your eyes for a moment. And we'll take 2 calibrating breaths together. So inhale through the nose, exhale slowly through the mouth. One more time, let yourself soften, be in the present moment, feel connected to one another. Inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. Beautiful. And letting your eyes stay gently shut for just a moment, I'm going to share with you the 4 types of relational courage in your relationship. And as I'm sharing these, I want you to think of which of these 4 types you feel that your partner embodies and practices the best. This is like their core strength in your relationship. And also bring to mind a small example of this. So, the 4 types of relational courage. The first is the courage to be vulnerable, to share openly about feelings and experience and fears. The second type of relational courage is the courage to bring up issues in the relationship. So, to share and discuss and bring an issue to the surface when it needs to be worked through. The third type of courage is to ask for what they need from you. The fourth type of courage is to ask what you need from them. So, again, thinking about this from vulnerability, bringing up issues, asking for what they need, or asking what you need. Which of the 4 do you think your partner embodies most frequently or the best and is really their core strength? In a small example. And whenever you have that in your mind, I want you to gently open your eyes and return to the room.
All right. Am I first?
Yeah.
I believe you opened your eyes first.
Yeah.
So if you're willing to go first, I would love that.
So it was the last 2. So it was,
Asking for what you need or
she
asking what you need.
she likes to ask for what she needs. One thing for
Great.
me was like the hugs, which I talked about earlier.
I love that.
She says it without saying it and acts of service. So definitely like, simple things. And that comes up for me. So there's that one. And then there's the other one, the last 2. It was,
Asking what you need.
yeah.
Her? Is she
Yeah.
good at that? Awesome.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. So I want to take a moment too, Melissa, if you will, and just really receive that and receive that compliment in a deep space and know that he really sees you. I think that's a beautiful acknowledgement. And whenever you're ready, I'd love to hear from you as well. What type of courage do you think you practice?
So I would say the first one,
Beautiful. Being
And-
vulnerable.
being vulnerable. He's totally okay with sharing exactly how he feels. And that was something that was kind of startling to me, I guess, at first, because I wasn't so great about sharing my feelings.
So it was modeling beautifully.
Yeah, so I thought, gosh, why is he so sensitive? You know?
Love it.
Yeah. So we joke that I'm the masculine energy and he's the feminine energy for the most part.
That's a
Is-
beautiful
is true.
balance. Yeah. So I want you to take a moment to really receive her compliment too, because that's special. And then to anchor in this moment of kind of recognition and even owning your own courage in the relationship, I want you to think of a small physical cue you could do for each other, like a double hand squeeze, and let that be does that feel like a good physical cue?
I actually have that one with my daughter.
You do.
I do. It means I love you and I'm here
Oh.
with you. So when she's nervous or whatever and we're holding hands, I give her a double squeeze and then she'll look at me and smile and she'll give me a double squeeze.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
perfect. You already have this in motion because this is a great way to anchor in
Yeah.
I love that you're being so courageous.
I can do it too.
Or you can come up
Sure.
with a new one.
Or we could come up with a new one.
I
yeah.
mean, either way, it's up to you.
Okay.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I want you to gently close your eyes one more time. So now, in this moment of recognizing your own courage, the fact that you do show up in this relationship in different ways, which is beautiful, which of the types of relational courage do you struggle with the most? So bring to mind which one makes you feel the most uncomfortable at presently. And then the second part of this is, what are you afraid is going to happen if you are vulnerable in that way, if you do ask for what you need, whatever the type of courage is. So I'll reiterate what the four are. The first is the courage to be vulnerable and share your feelings and experience openly. The second is the courage to bring up issues that need to be addressed in the relationship. The third is the courage to ask for what you need in your relationship. The fourth is to ask what your partner needs in your relationship. So this is going to be a micro moment of vulnerability. If you need to, take one more big inhale with me through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. You are safe in this moment. Your partner is here to support you. I'm here to support you. And this is an act of courage in itself in being able to share. So whenever you're ready, gently open your eyes and I'll invite you to share which type of courage is the scariest for you and what you're afraid will happen.
Okay, I'll go first. He's
All
looking
right.
at me like he knows. Mine would be being vulnerable. And what I would be afraid of is, I don't know, for a long time, and I'm getting better at this, but for a long time it was just having others see me cry or show emotion was a big deal. I'm getting a lot better, especially after having a kid. It just comes out and I don't have a choice, so I'm just like, like showing it more. But I guess that would definitely be it.
Wow. That was really courageous to even share that. So I really thank you for that. And Norman, my request to you is there any affirmation you can give her about what your experience is when she shares vulnerably? How does it make you feel? Are you excited when she shares her feelings, when you see her emote?
I feel more connected,
Mm.
which is nice. And so then I know that like it's simple but profound. And then I'm like, all right, like I feel like now I'm getting like deeper and closer and understanding her more, because they're always just so go, 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 you know?
Yeah,
So it's nice to be able to slow down and just reflect on that.
that's beautiful. And Melissa, is there anything, any micro action that he could take in the moments where you emote that would help you feel safer? Would a
Um,
handhold be helpful? Would a, hey, I appreciate that you're sharing? Is there any type of affirmation that would help you in those moments?
I think, yeah, just kind of like leaning in and listening more and being a little more fully present.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Is that something you feel like you can
Yeah,
consciously
I
do
feel like
too?
sometimes, because for me, I never really had like father figures. I never really got really deep with anyone. Like she's the person that I think is really I got the deepest with, or have been the deepest with. That's actually helped me get deeper with just relationships in general. So I definitely feel that, yeah, I can do that, and over time get better and better.
And so my invitation to you then would be the next time that you share something vulnerable, hold his hand, double hand squeeze,
Ooh,
Okay.
and anchor that in as a moment for both of you to acknowledge this is a moment of courage for her, for you,
yep,
and how can we, and I'm going to be extra present.
I love that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know that that's an intense share, and I'm inviting you to do this live on air, and
Yep.
it's extra profound. And so I want to just really commend you on that share and that self-awareness. I mean, both of you are clearly high performers. You're a high performing couple, and this is only going to make it easier. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you too.
And Norman, could I invite you to share the type of relational courage? If you want me to reiterate the four types, happy to. Which one's the scariest for you, and what you're afraid will happen?
The fourth for sure.
Asking for
I
what you need.
think, yeah, I feel like I hear what she needs, but then asking, I think would be different to just really go deeper into, what do you need from me? Because, there's times where too, like she'll say that, like, why don't you just ask me what I need, and
Wait, so is it the sharing what you need or asking her what she needs, the harder one?
I think asking her what she needs.
Ah, okay. Wonderful.
Yeah, I think asking what she needs because she tells me, but I could do a better job asking her what she needs.
And what are you afraid of, or what is the fear that shows up? Or maybe it's a different emotion. It may not even be fear, but what is the emotion that shows up that you feel like prevents you from asking her what she needs?
Maybe the response, or what type of response I'd get, or if it's going to be what she really needs. She's pretty good about telling me exactly what she needs, but could just be the response.
Yeah. Are you afraid then it will be a response that is making you feel like you're not doing enough? Or is it, there's a
Yeah.
little head
I
nod?
think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And so, is there any affirmation, Melissa, too, that you can offer about would you like if he asked more of what you need more often?
Yeah, and I do say that. I say because he's like, well, I don't know what you need, and that's the common theme I think with men is like, well, I don't know what she needs. Like either I need him to be more perceptive in knowing what needs to be done, or I need him to say, hey, what would help you the most right now?
So then my question to you is there one thing that he could do this week that would be helpful for you, whether it's around the house, whether it's around parenting in your relationship, like one small thing that would help you?
Mm, I don't know. I mean, we work together pretty well. It's more so when like we're having an occasion, like we host a lot, and he tends to get lost just talking to people, and then I'm in the
This is
background.
my husband too, by the way.
Yeah, I'm in the background just doing everything, keeping everything together, and or getting ready for something. It's more so like those types of things, and then sometimes he'll do things thinking that that's what I want, but that's not at all helpful.
So it's helping, but so then the question is, so let's get a specific skill in the behavior
Okay.
because I want to help you make this one small shift. And this is something that I've done with my husband, that I've done with other couples too. So let's say it's an event scenario and you're hosting. What is the one action you would like him to do when you're hosting?
Okay, and like I've said before, making sure that the trash is taken out and taken care of, so that's one less thing that I have to
During
worry
the
about.
event or
Yeah,
prior
during
to
the event.
During the event. Okay, great. So then the invitation to you, if you'd be open to it, is to either set a alarm on your phone or your watch
Yeah.
during events. So in the first hour to check the trash.
Mm.
Is that something you'd be open to doing?
Yeah. And she gave me the double hand thing.
Hand
I'd
squeeze.
like that too.
I love it. I love it. No, but I think that that's, and so much of it too. And I also want to hear from you as well, because it sounds like his core fear though is that he's either not enough or not doing enough. Could you take a moment to share with him that think he's enough? Because it's obvious that you do, and not to put words in your mouth, but put it in your own terms. What can you affirm him in this moment of saying to mitigate that fear?
I could say that he does a lot, and I appreciate all the things that he does. And I always like to use the term work smarter, not harder, and just, hey, like, you don't need to do all of that. You can just do this one thing, and this would make a big difference.
And I want to invite you also to just speak directly to him like I'm not here in this moment and
Okay.
affirm him. Yeah, no, that was beautiful. Thank you for illustrating it, but I really want
Yeah.
him to hear it and give the double hand squeeze if you're feeling a little
We
nervous.
appreciate you, Jordan and I, immensely. And sometimes we know that you do a lot, and you are the rock in our family. And sometimes maybe it's do less and be more specific about what you do.
And I guess the other added layer to that, and that's beautiful. That's a beautiful affirmation that he is the rock, and just that you believe he's enough.
And of course, I believe you're enough.
Oh,
Thank you.
beautiful. And so the invitation too, then now that we've kind of identified, all right, what are the two kind of core things for each of you? So we actually did this a moment ago. You already skipped ahead, which was amazing, and set a calendar reminder.
I did.
So he set a calendar reminder to, and I believe your phones are here, so we'll do this once the show is done. But as soon as we're done here, is to actually have you put a calendar reminder once a week to check in, and for you to share anything that's been on your heart that week, for you to hold space and be fully present, and then for you to ask her if there's a specific thing she needs from you this week.
Mm-hmm.
Is that
Thursday.
something you're both willing to do?
Thursday's for me. It's already set. I was going to send her a reminder, but I was like, I'll wait.
Yeah. And so he's got a calendar reminder for something different to help make sure he's being conscious of things you need.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if you're willing to set a joint calendar reminder once a week to do this
Mm-hmm.
quick check-in and hold hands while is that something you'd both be open to doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as you squeeze twice.
Oh,
So ridiculous.
and then I'll have you close your eyes one more time just to close this out. So thank you again both for being so incredibly vulnerable, honest, and clear. I know that this is a scary activity to do, especially in front of someone else, but I want you to really sit with the feeling of courage and hopefully relief in hearing that your fears around taking this courageous action are going to be met with love because you love each other immensely. You're both high performers, you're both growth oriented, and this is just the next stage in your evolution as a couple. So I want you to take another inhale through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And I want you to also now visualize it's Thursday. You're sitting down to have this conversation, whether it's in your kitchen, in your living room. You're holding hands. You've just done the double hand squeeze. Melissa, you've shared something vulnerable. He's been present. You feel seen. And Norman, you just asked her, what is one thing I could do to help support you this week? And she has shared, and she has also taken in that share the opportunity to say, you are doing so much, and I see you, and you are enough. And I want you to feel how much deeper that feels, how much more connected that is, how much easier your relationship feels. And really just sit with that feeling of you both are courageous, and you're in this as a team, because you are. One more big inhale through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Gently return to the room, whatever you're doing.
Wow. Love you.
Double hand squeeze.
Thank you for watching today's episode of the Liftoff Experience, as it is our intention to be able to help you have more liftoff in your life, personally, professionally, and spiritually. That's why we bring on amazing individuals and amazing episodes to be able to help you do as such. New episodes come out every single Saturday. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, comment below with one thing that you took away from the episode. And if you have a compelling story that you wish to share and you want to come to Phoenix, Arizona, Gilbert, Arizona specifically, to our recording studio, we'd love to have you on an episode. And a big thank you to Liftoff Agent, who does the thumbnail, writes the copy, does all the content for our show behind the scenes, as all I do is find guests, point and shoot, and have a good time. So thanks so much to Liftoff Agent team. Thank you so much for staying to the end of the episode. Go ahead and see all of our other videos. If you're listening to this, just go to the Liftoff Experience on YouTube. If you're watching this, then you can see on the screen that we have lots of episodes that you can take a look at and you can watch today to be able to go deeper with different subject matters to help you have more liftoff in your life. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you. God bless. We'll see you all on the next one.